All right, good morning. So my name is Kennen. I'm been a council member for the past 4 years. I'm on my second term right now. Been the liaison to adult learning, and I'm the chair for adult learning. So it was my own decision to do this, and to fill, not just to fill a slot, but then this is also the time of our stewardship, as Pastor Deb talked about today. We're going to keep saying the good news and saying that we're blessed and we're grateful for what's happened and how we're going forward, and keep a positive momentum. So oops, wrong side. There you go. Should have been in the right one, but anyway, so welcome again. This is our church council. We're going to identify members that you may not have seen before or know that even were a council member. But a lot of times in the past, we've given a phone call to you, and sometimes you don't know who that person is. So, but this is the opportunity to understand who we are, what are you guys elected us to be your council members, and us to provide that leadership. So, in speaking of leadership, so our first, we're going to go in these little groups. Council membership is a 3-year election, 3-year duty, you want to say. So, as of right now, our council president is Susie Oversee. If you want to come up.
All right, trying to get my bearings here. Good morning, everyone. I guess I need to look into the camera, but not the screen. Thank you so much, Marco, for organizing this. I think it's just, it's good for us as leaders, the council, to express our gratitude and just also meet you all as leaders. I think I've been on the council about the same amount of time as Marco, for 4 years, and I'm serving as president right now. So I'm shooting from the hip a little bit this morning with in response to why it is that I am grateful and why I give my talent and time and treasure to this special place. And in the shower this morning and before that, what kept coming to me is kind of this place is a beacon of light for me and my family. But personally, and what I mean by that, I'm thinking, truth, inclusivity, love, most of all love. These are the things that come to me. And when I think about this place, this community, this church, and the myriad of forms that we've been able to gather over the last nearly 2 years, I'm grateful for the staff here and the leadership and the way we have weathered this storm. I think we just our unique attributes here have made it possible to do that. And now, and a lot of other churches haven't. But coming back to this idea of light, I think we can all agree that we've had a little darkness, and every morning I get up, I still do read the newspaper. My husband and I get the actual paper, and we're encountered with darkness all around, all those kind of crazy voices that Pastor Deb was talking about this morning, and to have a special place to come online, in person, to hear about love and truth and hope is just incredibly important to us and to me. I also was thinking back last week to Bishop Shelley here visiting and talking about this place being a good place to cry. And every time I come to church, nearly every time, I get a little tear down my cheek for one reason or another. And thank goodness we've got the masks right now, right? It's a great tear catcher. So it's a place where I come and emote. And so these are some of the reasons I give my time, talent, and treasure to this place. There's 3 generations of my family here right now, and even though I didn't grow up here, we're here in this community, and it's just a very special place. So with that, I think I will pass the torch to whoever Marco says is next.
All right, thank you, Susie. Our next are in the same group. Let me share the screen again. Just bear with me with all these transitions, but I'm a one-man show today. So, I got it. This is in this medium is fine. So our next presenter will be Susan Zakos, and she's also, this is her last year. She's been 2 terms, right? Yeah, and so this time around. Yeah, this time right. Yeah, exactly. All right, this time we see if I can get that. All right, there you go. That's I think that's okay.
Thank you, Marco. Good morning, everybody. So
there's no mic. No.
I'll talk louder. Okay. So when Marco suggested this, we talked about our stories of stewardship. And so I thought I'd go back a little ways to how I came to realize about stewardship in the church. And so I grew up in a small town, in a small Lutheran church. My parents were both very involved with the church. I remember every Sunday seeing them go into the office and sit down at the desk and get the checkbook out and start to write their check, put it in the offering plate every week at church. And I would say at one time or another, one of my parents were always on the church council. And one of the duties of the council at that time in that church was after church, they were responsible for counting the money. So after they got there, after church, and you'd go get your cup of coffee, and then they'd go into one of the little classrooms that was used for Sunday school, and they'd sit around the table. And these were all people that I knew. And as a little kid, just out of church and having been there all morning, I was eager to get going. And so I'd go in and I'd help count the money as well, too. So back in the day, and this will date me, there was a lot more cash that came in. Now our offerings are more digital. But we would count out the money and roll the coins and the dollar bills. And yes, there were a lot of dollar bills would be put into $25 stacks. And sometimes I got to recount the $25 stacks to make sure they were correct. And then we would put it all into the night deposit box and drive down to the National Bank of Commerce in town and put it in the depository. So that's how I knew that's how the church worked. That was our church family. We were very involved, and yes, it was a responsibility, but it was a thankful responsibility to be able to contribute to the church and keep it going and care for our family there. So come full circle to my story now. I'm serving as the personnel committee chair, as well as being on council. And right after this meeting today, we're having a personnel committee meeting, and we're going to debate how to care for our family, our church family, for next year. The biggest part of our budget is caring for our personnel. And as everybody knows, by going to the grocery store at this time, everything's more expensive. The figures came out last week that consumer prices are up 6%, and it's not going to get any cheaper. And we've had discussions in the past at congregational meetings where people really want to make sure that our employees are being paid a fair wage. And we do. We want to make sure that they get a living wage. So we want to be mindful of our staff and caring for our staff. And we ask that you give consideration for your pledges for next year to keep that in mind. We want to take care of our family and take care of them well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. That was great. Definitely, we got to keep out an eye on Pastor Deb and Yeah, we gotta make sure she stays happy. All right, so share the screen again. And so that was our first group of council members. So our next group, there we go. So our next group is, we have Allison Harishka. She's our council secretary. Gunnar Almgren, Ron David, Jeff Hanson, and Christina Richmond. I believe, Gunnar, you're on. So let me stop sharing. And if you want to go ahead and speak, and I'll make you the, I'll put the spotlight on you.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And also thank you for taking the time, everyone, to consider the whole idea of stewardship and where our lives fit in. Despite having a name like Gunnar Almgren, I was not raised in the Lutheran Church. In fact, I really didn't encounter the Lutheran Church until I started courting my wife. We've been married 46 years now. But she is the youngest daughter of Swedish immigrants. And I learned about stewardship really from the example of her parents. That is, Lily and Carl Lundgren really just lived life as stewardship being a part of what they did every day. And it was that deeper understanding of stewardship that I really learned from them. Stewardship as gratitude, stewardship as encompassing all of what we do. The example that I want to give of my wife's parents is that they had been part of a mission church many years ago, and even though the National Lutheran Church had built the sanctuary, they had not built an education hall or a fellowship hall. And my father-in-law, Carl Lundgren, knew that they would need to build one and need to build one with volunteer labor in the congregation. He was a craftsman, a home builder, and so he just took a hiatus from his home construction business and oversaw the complete building of that fellowship hall, all based on volunteer labor. And there's even somewhere in the picture of an old Lutheran standard from the early 1960s, a bunch of the women of the church up doing the roofing. So anyway, just to say that stewardship as gratitude, stewardship as being really, I think, a way of life. And again, I thank you for this opportunity.
All right, thanks, Gunnar. Next person, Jeff Hanson, if you want to unmute yourself.
You bet.
Paul, give me 1 second. Let me remove spotlight. And all right, go ahead.
All right, great. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for letting me join virtually today. We're all great stories to hear from everybody on why we give at Our Savior's. And yeah, I agree, Gunnar, giving from a place of abundance and thankfulness for all we have. It's a great place to start, and we see that in evidence all over at Our Savior's. I heard from many, Mom and Dad really set the example for me. Some of my earliest memories of the church community when I was growing up at Prince of Peace Lutheran over there in Eastmont was watching mom and dad participate in the leadership of the church and writing a check and helping to count the offering and doing those kind of things, right? And so we all learn from our parents, and building on that foundation, as I've served in various church communities, I've learned that, giving in proportion to what you have as an expression of thanks is the greatest place to motivate yourself and trying to grow in that commitment as you're able, in the hard times and the good times. And I think we saw from many during COVID that blessing, that people realized that COVID was a time we needed to step up. And this environment we're coming into again with a period of inflation is one of those times where a little extra help will really help our church do so many great things it does. And we all know what those are, but I'll share, from a personal place, why I'm so thankful for this community. It's the community that welcomed me back and wasn't afraid of my pain, going through a divorce, and welcomed the new love of my life, Colleen, into the community. I was so thankful for that. And I was even more thankful for the support of everyone when I had a cancer diagnosis. My fellow council members, how they supported me, and Pastor David making that phone call as I was waiting the first major surgery of my life, not knowing what was going to happen, right? Meant a lot. And the great council and celebration when I was diagnosed cancer-free after that. This community does that hundreds of times every day. We don't know, all of those stories, but those impacts and God's love in that way is needed more than ever. So we're taking another look at seeing at what we can do in addition, so that, we're ready to make that impact on people and allow God's hands in the community to help us all. So encourage us all to give from abundance, and who knows how that gift will be shared and returned in ways that we can't even imagine. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff. Let me remove spotlight. And next one, Christina Richmond. Let me put you on the spotlight first. There you go, Christina. And go ahead. Yeah, you're on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Richmond, and thanks also for letting me be remote. I've got the tail end of a cold. I'm still getting over it a little bit. I'm new to the council. This is my first year, and I feel like I'm learning a lot about the church and the community, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think when I think especially about the past year and COVID and what I've been grateful for, it's kind of a theme of there's so many bad things, but there's so many good things too. And of the good things, what kind of rises to the top of my head is how impressed and how grateful I've been for all of the creativity and the adaptability of the whole community. I mean, I've seen it I've got 2 daughters, an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old, and seeing the creativity that the teachers have gone through and the schools have gone through to try to still reach children and teach them when they're stuck at home for endless days. That's been really heartening to see. It's been amazing. I mean, and then I've seen it at the church too, just with the adaptability to moving to online services. And I'm impressed with the quality of the online services too, especially it's been very acute for me being stuck at home, being sick recently, and just seeing the different ways that they go out to the community and try to incorporate that into the message and make it seem more real for people. So that's been important. Just also the creativity with pivoting to drive-throughs and phone calls, and most recently that I've really appreciated the addition of Debbie Cooper with the outdoor kids ministry for elementary school children. That was a great way to acknowledge that a lot of parents feel more comfortable with their kids socializing, being outside, but also recognizing how important it is for kids to engage with the community and be part of the church community. So those are some of the things that really rise to the top of my head that I'm really grateful for in the last year. And they've been, I mean, they're all kind of, it's a different flavor on ways that our community has resiliency and adaptability. And those are the things that just have really sat with me and resonated with me over the past year. So thank you all for everything that we all do to be part of this community.
Thanks, Christina. I'm remove spotlight and share the screen again. Okay, so the Allison and Ron could not make it today. So, but these are the 5 folks we have for the terms ending in 2023, and then our final group that we have are the terms ending in 2023. We have Lisa Clark. She couldn't make it either. She's our council vice president. Christina Aho, myself, Annika Larson, not Annika, and Jeff Peterson. Jeff Peterson couldn't make it as well. He told me, but so let's get with Annika here. So if you want to come up here, and we'll stop sharing. All right.
Good morning. I'm Annika, and I have been going to this church since I was like 3. And so I've just always been very grateful to this church and the opportunities it's had for young people. And that's one of the reasons why my parents decided to come to this church with me and my sister, is that even 20 plus years ago, it had a successful and growing youth program for kids. And I've just been very grateful and very honored to be able to grow up in that. And I attended the preschool here. I was confirmed here. I participated in a lot of youth events when I was a teenager. And it's just been a very supportive church for the learning and growth of kids and teenagers, and it keeps expanding, especially with Pastor Deb, has focused a lot on that. So grateful to her. But yeah, I've just had a lot of very unique experiences. And one of those experiences that I was lucky enough to have twice was the ELCA youth gathering, which just really helped me learn what stewardship is and what I can do for my community. And so the first one I went to was in 2015 in Detroit. And so that one was amazing to go to, especially to a city that a lot of people consider kind of a bad place to be. We got a lot of warnings from people before we went that we should be careful and that it's dangerous and unsafe. And that was not our experience at all. We had a fantastic time, and every single person we met was amazing. And our church's service project there was cleaning up a neighborhood. That was a historic neighborhood, and it was a very beautiful neighborhood, but it just had a lot of trash in the streets, and the curbs were kind of dirty. So that was us and thousands of other youth, because there was 30,000 youth total there. Our job for a day. And it's just a wonderful way to see stewardship in action and see these things happen and have people come up to you and be grateful for what you're doing, even though you're only there for a day. And most of us came back from that trip and wanted to continue to share that. And that was our big first experience with being more than just brought to church because our parents are going and we're 10, but we're teenagers helping out and finding what it means to us to have stewardship and faith in God and what our religion means to us as individuals. So I'm just very grateful for all the opportunities that this church has provided us. Thank you.
Thank you, Annika. And not last but least, or however that goes, but yeah. So when I decided, we had a adult learning community meeting here probably back in August, and I was looking at Pastor David, and we're looking at the schedule, and we had one slot to fill. And I was like, like I said before, a lot of times we've been past council members. Even before I was a council member, I even got the phone call. We would call members of the church and say, okay, thank you for what you've done, and can you please still support us? But I thought, well, people that called me when I first got to this church, I was like, who's this person? So now, what's happening with the COVID, we become a hybrid. We matured and became a hybrid church, and we can do all this adult learning through online Zoom and recording through YouTube, which is grateful. We've actually we can reach out to more people. So definitely grateful for that. But bottom line is, I've been, the reason I wanted to talk about this as well is, I'm going to talk about gratitude, but it's also a little bit more of my testament as well. So basically, about almost exactly 8 years ago today, I just came back from Afghanistan on my second trip there for 4 months, and I was a government civilian for the U.S. Army. I was the airspace liaison engineer for 160 helicopters, and the best job in the world. I thought, this was, I can retire as a government service person. I was plenty happy with my pay, and everything was just going well. Even though I also went through a divorce as well back in 2008, and I always felt like when I moved to Savannah, Georgia, I was re-saved. Even though I was a Christian, I felt like I was, God put me there to be re-saved, and I actually became, when I was a little bit younger, didn't have as much, more hair and less gray. I was actually involved with the young adult learning. So now I'm over here, I'm in charge of the adult learning. So I graduated. But anyways, so that was back in 2013. I just came back, and then politics aside, there was a reduction in a military budget, and I could have gone and they were closing my position, so in Savannah, Georgia, but I could have gone to Huntsville, Alabama, but I just didn't feel like it, but what I'm going to keep talking and iterating is about God's plan. So my sister moved here to Mukilteo in 2012, and it was just perfect timing. Always wanted to work for Boeing, and my sister and my brother-in-law, my best friend Scott, they said come over here, live with us, and we'll take care of you until you find a job that you want to do. And I was like, so I felt like I had a little golden parachute, to come over here, and didn't have to stress. And within 4 months I moved here, I got a job and be a contractor for Boeing, which I was very grateful. I've been doing that for past 7 years. But I was also a little bit angry with God. And at the same time, it's like, I had a really good deal going in Savannah, Georgia. I really liked working with, I used to be a soldier myself in Army aviation, but I also, felt like, I wanted to do this for the rest of my life, but, that wasn't God's plan. And then my dad, my dad was remarried for the third time, and he was having problems, and things just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And I keep reiterating that, but my dad, my sister and I decided that my dad to move here would take care of him, basically his retirement plan that he didn't have. But he moved in with me, we moved in together, and that became, I was angry at first. So I was angry at God again. So, why is this happening? Why can't I have my own life or whatever? But growing up, my dad was, we're all Finnish people. We were all born in Finland, but my sister and I grew up in Florida, South Florida, but we were just, we weren't, as far as my dad was concerned, we weren't that super close. And even though I lived with him for 18 years, and then after that, I went to college, joined the Army, and got married, and just only time I really talked to my dad was, once in a while. And so it didn't have that super relationship, the father and son. So then these last 5 years, we were able to peel away, that information, understand some stuff, and was like, okay, I think this is why, I was meant to move here and to have, spend time with my dad. Also then, my mom also retired, she went back to Finland and lived in Helsinki area, and in Finland, it's actually a law in Finland, and I think it's probably in Norway and Sweden too, but because it's such a cold environment, the pipes and stuff, they have to be replaced every 50 years in the building, or in that time frame. So my mom's place where she was living at, the condo she was living at, the whole building was going to be tore apart inside just to remove the plumbing, put new plumbing fixtures and stuff. And so I went to go see my mom in 2018 and in October timeframe, and helped her start moving stuff, getting rid of stuff. And then finally, when the go time for her to move out was I went back to Finland again in August of 2019 and moved her into a new apartment for temporary while her building was being renovated. And so I got to, spend time with my mom, and I was like, okay, this is good and stuff. But the problem was, 4 months later, my mom passes away. And, I love my mom more than anything else in the world. I mean, everyone keeps saying their mom's the best, but, for me, my mom was my rock. And she, being able with this technology is that we were able to, she lived in Finland, but I lived in, either Savannah here or, but I was able to Skype with her. So it just felt like I was there with her, Skyped with her every weekend. So there's no change and stuff. But then when she passed away in December, and she did have cancer, but I thought, okay, and she didn't tell anybody. She was, like I said, she was the rock. And so when she didn't tell how bad the situation was, and she just passed away right after Christmas in 2019. And then my sister and I and Scott, we went to Finland in January, to have the funeral. And then it was, freezing cold in Finland, but she was cremated, and we were going to go back to Finland in May to say, all right, have the burial of the cremation with her mom and dad in Vasa, Finland. And so that was the plan. And then, as we just talked about, everyone's been talking about, then COVID hit, the world shuts down, can't fly anywhere. And it's becomes a tough situation, even tougher. It got what really stunk, in my opinion, is that I had to watch my cousins, I'm grateful for my cousins, but I had to watch my cousins bury my mom into my grandparents' grave. And I hadn't still seen my grandparents or my mom with my grandparents at the gravesite yet. Hopefully next summer. So we'll see what happens. But I was, once again, angry. Why is this happening? And like I said, COVID hit, and then we all struggled for 18 months or so, and then vaccine came out. My whole family was vaccinated. My dad was vaccinated, and then Governor Inslee says, "All right, Washington can open up," and we're all excited. This was past. This is end of June 30th timeframe, and we go to the restaurants. We went to go see the Seattle Mariners play the Yankees. Yankees are my favorite team, but Seattle, I do like the Mariners. They're my second favorite team, to be honest with you. But we went to the Mariners game, and my dad went back to the YMCA Mukilteo, and my dad got to go shopping, but he didn't wear a mask because it wasn't required. And the thing we did not know was the Delta variant. And within 3 weeks of being open, my dad, even though he was vaccinated, my dad got COVID, and he was a breakthrough case. And once again, I'm like, why is this happening? Why is God allowing this? And it was very difficult. And he went to the hospital, came back, and I got to spend one more weekend with him. And then I had to go back to work on a Monday morning, and I went to go, luckily I was working from home, but I got to go check on him, and he was on the ground, and he had a large, massive stroke. He lost 70% of his brain, left side of his brain. And so it was, once again, I was like, why is this happening? But all I can, then my dad passes away in August, but one thing, I have to look back and say, okay, he was not in Florida. So that when he passed away, I was with him. My sister and I were with him until he got his last breath. And I can't ask for anything more than that. And so these past 8 years of, we all go through, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you're going to get, have a safe, simple life, and so but being a Christian and being with Christian folks, church congregation and members, praying for you and consolidating, and even I still remember, I didn't add this to the list, but I'm going to add it to it anyways. I still remember when Susan gave me a card when my cat died right before my mom died. And so I got my triple, so I'm done. So this church is very, I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to be here talking to you. And so that's what happened this past year. All I can say is God is good. God is good all the time. Thanks. And so that basically ends our church council meeting, or not church council, but adult learning meeting. I forget which meeting I am sometimes, but I want to thank you everyone for sharing their testament, and I got some good news for our adult learning. So today was our last day of adult learning for this calendar year, and on January 9th, what we're going to do is we're going to start a 7-week course, which I will be spearheading on climate justice. So we know what's, you see the weather out there, it's pretty bad, and we're going to talk about every aspect of it, and it's and see how individually, governments, businesses, and as a church, what are our responsibilities. So that's going to be a 7-week course starting January 9th, and I hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.